Welcome to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. Join us as we review our favorite RPGs, collectible card games, MMOs, video games, PC games, and bring up interesting topics and things that we'd like to share with everyone. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, welcome back to RPG A Day 2015. This is Jim here. August 27th. Favorite idea for merging two games into one? Pretty much, I'd have to go with the storyline that I actually was already set up to go ahead and use for a bunch of demo games that I was going to run at one of the local stores. The idea of the Traveler. Basically, he was, pretty much came up with it when the new Doctor Who series started coming out, which may just, date how much TV I watch. But the Traveler would have been a true Atlantean shifter who had a spell similar to the one that Palladium's come out with for Rifts, which is the Summon Heroes. And the Traveler would go from misbegotten world to misbegotten world, and when he'd arrive at the planet, he would basically find what the problem is, and being, of course, a shifter, depending on what world he went to, he could be completely powerless at some points because of the low amount of magical energy in the environment. But he would then summon the heroes, and that would be the playing group. So you could then have players playing in pretty much every environment that you could think of. So you could have, and the way he'd usually do it is there would be some kind of equivalent of the native equipment that they would have available for them there. So you could have the Coalition Samus pilot showing up on a Industrial Revolution era, and there would be a steampunk equivalent to his armor in all SDC with limited amounts of weaponry based on the local, timeline. Or there could be a magical construct that he could use, or some kind of Techno-Wizard attachment to allow his power armor to work in that environment, causing it to thereby not do the uber amounts of Rift's MDC, but the near equivalent on this planet. Or he could summon the dragon, who would now be an SDC creature in the 1920s, So that way, whatever the problem is, the group would be able to accomplish it in their own unique, awesome way. But he would be able to be there to guide them and basically be the Gandalf to their group to make sure he's focusing them on what they need to do. I pretty much think one of the funnest ones was going to be a all-elf world that unfortunately the forests are so dark and so oppressive that unfortunately there was a vampire, a master vampire that had recently been invited into the ecosystem and had no problem turning elves into vampires. And the group would have had to fight vampires in a almost total twilight darkness in the forest area because, of course, elves having that amazing low-light vision. So that would have been one of vampires are coming at you 24/7. Granted, they're weaker and slower during the day, but they can still come after you because there's just not enough daylight unless you can take your weaponry and blow a hole through the canopy, which could be its own problem according to the elves who want to preserve nature. Granted, somebody like in the Coalition would say, okay, let's clear cut some of this forest and we have a safe zone. Unfortunately, the elves who consider nature sacred in that area might have a problem with you doing it, even if it's in their best interest. So, merging multiple ideas, I would have to go with using the Traveler to summon heroes from one dimension to the next, and pretty much doing my homework ahead of time to make sure their equipment could still be used in a certain form of way. And if you're ever getting a chance and looking for inspiration, one of the things I like to do is take a novel, find a book that you like, and find a movie you like, and pretty much try blending the two inspirations together for a setting. After all, one of the ideas I was thinking about recently for the upcoming RenCon at Tucson is to do a Nightbane meets Sons of Anarchy. Call it the Warlords of Anarchy. Get to play out some of my favorite TV show scenes with using a bunch of Nightbane characters who literally are made to, for the demo, either live or die and tear shit up. So like always, guys, thank you for listening and have a great day. And also, I'd like to make a quick shout out. Thank you for our patrons on patreon.com. You guys have helped make sure we keep this show going. Alright, later.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.